Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talk to the Entities party. I love the name of this October special event with the Talk to the Entities facilitators. I'm so excited. So, my name is Rachael O'Brien, and I'm a Talk to the Entities facilitator. And I grew up in Ireland, and I'm going to talk tonight about my experience with entities as a very young child, and then a beautiful story that will allow you to receive the magic of what talking to entities can gift you into your life. So, first of all, Talk to the Entities is this phenomenal gift to me. It allows me to acknowledge that there's a whole world that I was told I was crazy because I could hear that world. So often, many of us are diagnosed with bipolar or with mental illnesses because we hear the spirit world. And so for me, I've heard the spirit world since I'm a very young girl in Ireland. And it's such a gift. I'm so grateful to the creator of Talk to the Entities, Shannon O'Hara, because she gifted me a world that I had shut down simply due to the judgment, the wrongness, the exclusion that most people function from in regard to the spirit world. And for me, the gift is I do not have to function that way. So if you hear voices in your head, you can ask, is this an entity? Am I aware of the spirit world? And what would it take for us to live in a world that is open, inclusive, and there's an ease with dealing with that spirit world? I have a friend, and his name, he's my best friend in the world. His name is Troy Aldemaz. And he told me about 2 weeks ago that 130 billion people have taken a body through all lifetimes. That's roughly the figure. And so for me, I just don't get if 130 billion, that's 100 million is 1 billion. If 130 billion people have had a body, where do they go? Where do their beings go to? What occurs with their beings? Have they unfinished business? Have they been supported to know that they have another choice? And so Talk to the Entities for me is about the inclusion of the spirit world and actually being the generosity of spirit, the gift that I can be to the entity world. Some are not processed. In other words, they're stuck to a house or they're stuck to a job. And also you have some that are massive gifts, like the light beings. So let me tell you a little story of where it all began. My grandmother, who her name was Maggie, and this is in Ireland in 1976. She always used to talk to her mother and her father and aunties. And I was about 5 years old, living in a little place called Farranree in the city of Cork in the south of Ireland. And I wanted a new dress. I loved clothes from a very young age, and my mother didn't have the money. She was a single parent in Ireland. In those days, there was no caring by government. You just had to make money in whatever way to look after your kids. And so my grandmother said to me, ask Maggie Gould. And Maggie Gould was my great grandmother. And she said, just say, hey, Maggie Gould, can you talk to someone and bring me a new dress? And so as a little kid, I was a sponge. And I remember walking around the house being, hey, Maggie Gould, it wasn't even brand new dress. I'd love a dress. Can you bring me a dress, please? And I always remember it was Saturday afternoon, because in Ireland, everyone would watch the sports on a Saturday afternoon. There'd be something called hurling. And so it was Saturday afternoon, and I was just like a little kid, like curious and playing, hey, Maggie Gould, can you bring me a dress? So I go off to bed that night. I had I'm going to say, like, I wasn't fixed on it. It was just like a wild question. And the next day I wake up and I went to Mass. I was raised Irish Catholic. And I come in from Mass, and there's a bag of dresses sitting underneath our staircase. And I look at my grandmother, I used to call her Nan, And she said, there's a bag of dresses there for you. And I was like, huh? And she said, there was a knock at the door this morning, and my uncle's wife, Veronica, they had a bag of dresses that no longer fitted my cousins on the other side of the city. And they said, bring them up for Rachel and Rhonda. And I remember opening up the bag, and there was this lemon dress with a white collar and a white belt. And I remember putting it on me, and my grandmother said, did you thank Maggie Gould? And I remember just being like, it was like a magic was activated in me that I didn't even know was possible, but I did know was possible because I was still willing to play with it. And so that's my earliest memory of talking to the entities and asking for support and contribution from a very childlike, curious space. Fast forward a few years, and my mother didn't like the idea of my grandmother talking to us about the entity world. She was like, don't talk to them about that stuff. It's crazy. I don't want them to talk about this because they'll be judged and made wrong. And so I shut down the capacity. And for me, shutting off the capacity of the entity world did not work. It just did not work. It really didn't work. I didn't know how to function with this capacity. So when I wasn't using the capacity that was a natural gift for all of us that are entity aware, because a lot of people that I work with as a Talk to the Entities facilitator are entity aware, but not from the place of look through my golden ball or there's Marie in the corner. I don't see entities like I see a person. There's more of a perception for me. It can be smells, it can be energies in particular. So I wasn't using my entity tools. I didn't even have entity tools. And so it got shut down and shut down and shut down. And now reflecting on it, the more it got shut down, actually my life deteriorated and my happiness deteriorated. And along came, but I always knew there was a spirit world, but I had taken on my mother's point of view and went to fear and rejection and fear, rejection, exclusion, and barriers in regard to the entity world. And so something must have been activated somewhere in that my entity awareness went higher, and then I heard voices in my head, and I didn't have the basic entity question, is this an entity? And I would have saved myself so much pain and so much suffering if I had this question as a child, as a teenager, when I would have drank alcohol to block out entity awareness. And so for me, the question that I'm going to share with you some of my favorite tools. Is this an entity? And so if you walk into a building, if you walk into a church, if you come out of your bedroom and you get a weird sensation, you can just ask, is this an entity? And it's a very energetic communication. I love that because it's about knowing of energy. And so for me, there's an energy tonight with the sky. There's a lightness and there's a space. And then I might go into an old building and there's a different energy. So the way that I work with my entity awareness is the shifting in energies, the subtlety in energies. What was the energy like when I was at home in my apartment? What was the energy like when I went into that house, when I went into that room, when I went in to visit my auntie in hospital? So the entity tools it's just so simple. Is this an entity? Am I willing to be present and know that there is a spirit world? Do I reject it? And I did for a long time, and now I don't. So is this an entity? Yes. And then the two clearings that we use in Talk to the Entities, you can see them on Shannon's YouTube channel as well. I have them on my phone, and I send them to everyone that talks to me about their child being entity aware, or they saw something out of the corner of their eye, or they had a weird sensation when they walked into an old cemetery. And so I send them these clearings. They're called the basic Talk to the Entity clearings. And I have to say, me being entity aware had a massive impact on me physiologically and psychologically. Something invisible did have a massive impact on me until I was educated and empowered by Shannon and talked to the entities to use these tools. And so the very simple clearing is, number one, you can be a gift to the spirit world. You might walk into a house, for example, and there might be a lady that lived in the house in the 40s, and she might be waiting for her husband to come back from war. And so she's stuck in a viewpoint to a place at a certain time. And this is just so simple, so effective, and it works. So you say, who are you? Oh, I was Brigitte in Berlin in 1945. Who were you before that? Oh, she's an infinite being. She's had many lifetimes. Who were you before that? So what you're gifting the entity with is consciousness. Consciousness receives everything, judges nothing, and allows everything to become greater. I just adore that I can contribute to an entity that's stuck to a place or a time and they haven't been supported to have consciousness and awareness. Who were you before that? Who were you before that? And the entity may not even consider that they don't have a body anymore. Do you know that you haven't got a body anymore? And then, who can you be in the future? What? I have another choice? Yes. Who can you be in the future? You don't have to be Brigitte in 1945, or you don't have to be Maria in Argentina in 1850. Who can you be in the future? And this for me is such a beautiful, it's so beautiful to empower an entity, a spirit, to have a choice, and to choose something greater for them so they're free. Who can you be in the future? And I just adore this, and everything that sticks you there, all the magnetic imprinting like the fingerprint. Can you now destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, poets and beyonds. That's the access consciousness clearing statement that clears the fixed points of views, the fixed ideas, the fixed jobs that she has to be there because she has to wait for her husband to come back. And it's such a beautiful gift. So that's the who clearing. And for me, when do I use them? When my life gets difficult or when the energy is not light, I use these all the time, and then the peace and the lightness becomes available. And so for me, if it's your first time using the Talk to the Entities clearings, allow yourself to become practiced in the energy. What I noticed was when I used the entity clearings that I would get lighter, that there wasn't this like density or heaviness in my head or heaviness in the space. And so it's a very energetic practice. It really is. And then the second clearing, so who is for the identity of the person and what is for the job? You know, sometimes you'll have grandparents that hang around their grandchildren because they want to take care of them. So you could have, let's say, Maggie Gould from Ireland, from Cork, and her job is to look after her granddaughter, to protect her, to take care of her. And here again, now you're gifting that they have a choice. I just get so excited about it. What were you? What was your job? What was your job before that? What was your job before that? And you've no judgment. You're just being there with the energy. What can your job be in the future? And now you're offering this being that had identified themselves as the job, you're rendering it easy for them to have a different choice. They can go to lightness and they don't have to stay stuck to a building. And every person that I've ever met has walked into an old building or an old castle, or we've a lot of old churches in Ireland, and they've got like, ooh, the heebie-jeebies, we call them. And you don't have to You do not have to be fixed on the result. Just run them and see if your space becomes more peaceful. What can you be in the future? Take all your magnetic imprinting and everything that is right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. The clearings for Talk to the Entities have a massive impact on me personally and the spaces that I walk through when I actually use them. I hope you guys don't hear. I just have a neighbor that's starting to drill like a picture in the wall. So to finish today, I'd love to share a story about the place that I'm living in. I now live in Germany, and it's like in a forest called the Taunus forest. And I was told that I had to move out of my house and find a new place to live. And I was driving from the Netherlands down into Germany to teach a 3-day body class. I teach these amazing access consciousness classes called 3-day body. And as I was driving my car, I kept asking the entities, the light beings, the entities that were available and willing to contribute to me to find me a new place to live. Can you please, hello, beautiful entities, can you please bring me a beautiful place to live? Can you just show me with ease, joy, and glory all of the entities that are available and willing? Can you contribute to me? So I'm driving down and I go into this Italian restaurant, and my friend was with me, Burke Troy, and he sat down next to this lady called Claudia Hoffman. Such a beautiful story. And Claudia Hoffman was a realtor. In other words, she deals in renting apartments and houses. And so I said to her, hey, I might move to this area. She said, it's a beautiful area to live. There's an area called Bad Soden. It's beautiful. That was it. She gave me her card. I left. The 3rd day of the 3-day body class, just only 10 minutes from here, a lady called Asgard came into my class. She'll probably be watching this. And she said, I found this beautiful apartment looking at the Taunus, beautiful space, 2 bedrooms. Check it out. When I went down to the end of the website page, the realtor for the website was the lady that I had met in the Italian, Claudia Hoffman. So I called her up and I said, hey, can I see the house in Bad Soden? She said, Rachel, it's just on the website. I'll get you in first thing in the morning. 3 days later, I had this apartment. I don't require to prove it to anyone or figure it out. There is no logic in the contribution, the gifting and receiving in regard to the entity world. It's not a logical, it's not of the mind, it's not logical. It is this amazing, magical creation. And I'm glad to be a weirdo that talks to the entities. And I'm proud of the work of Talk to the Entities. And I'm proud to be alive and know that there's nothing wrong with me and that I have this capacity and ability to contribute to the spirit world and to be contributed. So I hope you're enjoying the party with the Talk to the Entities for the month of October. I'm truly grateful. This is the Talk to the Entities book if you want to further your education in Talk to the Entities. It's a beautiful book and it's Shannon's journey in regard to the entity world. I hope this live has been a contribution to you and it's been beneficial and useful. I would love it to be as beneficial and useful to you as it has been to me. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy some fabulous people coming on here for the next, I think, 21 days. Enjoy the party with the Talk to Entities facilitators and happy October. Bye for me. Bye.